Okay, so we're going to look at master pages and using a grid. The ruler function, guide functions inside the master pages, and we're going to look at the baseline grid. And remember, the baseline was coming from the font, so the baseline is actually where all the letters are sitting on. But first, we're starting off with master pages, and I don't have a document now to start with, and you, I guess, have a document to start with from last week. But I'm going to create a new document. My intent is to print it, and I'm going to create 20 pages, facing pages, and it's going to be an A4. And now I can already define some things about my grid. So I'm going to use columns on every page. I'm going to use 4 columns with a gutter, so the space in between the columns of 5 millimeter. Then I'm going to look at the margins, so at the top, left, bottom, and right of the page, and I'm going to set that to 10 millimeters. And remember, the margin is really a helping line. Just as the columns, they're helping lines to place your elements on the page. Then there's bleed. I'm not going to use bleed now, but I encourage you, well, okay, I'm going to do it as well, 5 millimeters. I would encourage you to always use it from now on, because most of the time you just need it for to get it to a correct print shop. So if you use 5, you can always, of course, adjust it later to the needs of the print shop. But at least then you have already material over the edge of the page, and you don't have to redo your whole document again. So use it from the beginning of creating a new document. All right, so now I got 20 pages, and it starts with my first page. So if I go to my pages window, you see that this is my first page, and I can scroll down and see all the other pages until 20. That's my last page. And if I scroll down in my document, you can also see them. And you see that there are 4 columns on each page with the gutter of 5 millimeter, like I just said, in between. All my pages here have these numbers. And on the top of my pages window, there you see none and A master. And if you look on all these pages, there's an A as well. And an A master is like this this template, yes, which you can then put on all these other pages. So in this case, the A master template is now on all these pages. So if I double click on page 2, 3, I jump to page 2 and 3, and there's nothing on it now, empty. And if I double click on the A master page, I open my A master and I can edit stuff in there. So in this case, I'm going to add a folio. So I'm going to put a text box right here. And what would be the name of this magazine? Any suggestions? Worm Tuesday. And we're on page, well, any page. Because just as in Word, just as in any other program, you can insert the page numbers automatically. So under type, insert special character, markers, current page number. So now you see here page A, because I'm in A masters actually. So if I go back now to page 1, it's not there. Why it's not there? Anyone? Sorry? It's the front page. That doesn't matter. But if I look into my A master, I put my folio on this side, on the left side. And this is only the right side of the page. So if I go to page 2, 3, here you see Worm Tuesday, page 2. If I scroll down, page 4, and so on. So now it's always there on the left pages and not on the right pages. I can put them in the A master as well there. In the exercise later, I will ask you to make multiple master pages. So if I go into my A master, I can also create a B master. So I can adjust actually the folio or the thing that I put in, and then drag, for example, only to this page. So now there's only a B master on page 3. or you can drag them to both pages. Oh, sorry. Where are you? There you are. There. If it's like this, it will be on A and B, or sorry, on page 4 and 5, the B master. So you can put it on 1 page, 2 pages, left or right. And of course, you can drag your A master also onto your B master. So my A master, I can drag it on here as well. So my A master is applied to the B master, and the B master is applied to page 4 and 5. So do I have my page number now in page 4 and 5? Yes, because the page the page number is in the A master, and the B master has the A master, and the B is then applied here. So in that case, you can make a simple setup for example, the page numbering, put that into a new one and into a new one if you need to, or just make a blank one with just nothing in it. And of course, if you don't want anything, you can just click and drag the none to any of these pages. So now there's nothing on it. Use these because it's making it very easy, your life very easy, when you have to edit 20 or 30 pages in the end for your magazine. Or if you're making a book, you could of course end up with hundreds of pages. So use these very good. They're very handy. Okay, I mean that's basically it about master pages and how they work. Not that hard. Let's see what else. What I'm going to show you. Oh yeah, the grid, rulers, and guides, and baseline grids. Okay. I'm going to place some text here on page 2. I'm going to make a text box here, and I'm going to fill it up with some placeholder text. So that's just lorem ipsum text. And I'm going to show you again. So if you want dummy text for in your magazine, because you don't have any text yet, I create a text box, go into type, fill with placeholder text. And then it fills it with a Latin text. And I can't read it, so I have no idea what it says.
Can you change the font of it?
Yes, now it's just a normal text, so you can do anything you want with it. So you can change the font, change the size, change everything with it. And I put these in here. I also want actually an image. In this case, I'm just going to use a box, which I'm going to fill with black, and the text now should run under it. There you have it. And if there's more text, but I guess you saw this in the tutorials as well of last week, if there's more text in a box, in a text box, and it can't show it all, it has this red plus. And if you click the red plus, you can create a new text box, and it's linked to the other one. So this one still has text. There is the end of the text. And that means, because it's linked, if I make this image bigger, I can put the text over there. And in this way, the text will be always visible. Because it's linked, it will continue writing into the other columns in this case. But I made this to show you two things, the baseline grid and rulers and guides. Because this has an A master on it, and in my A master, I'm now in my A master, I want to have the titles, like I just explained, always start at the same height on the page. And I can do that manually, just have an agreement. We always start at so many millimeters from the top. But I can also put in a guide, and I'm going to do it roughly now. So I have rulers on the top and the left of my document, as you can see here. And if they're not there, you can go into View, and now it says Hide Rulers, but then it will say Show Rulers. And from the rulers, you can click and drag, and it creates a helping line. If I'm dragging them outside of my document, I'm going to release it here. It shows you, well, let's do it here at 50. It has this helping line, on my master page, on the A master page, on the whole group, on the whole spread. So that means that if I go into A, page 2, there's this helping line as well, and I can use it now to stick things onto it. So if I want a title, I can now make a new title box. Just very warm day. This is going to be my title, and I'm just going to first place the box. Make sure this one is gone. Down there, the image will be smaller. There. And in this case, here, and in this case, I will always use this line also on the other pages to have this separation between the title and the rest of my text. So I put it in A master, the helping line, and there I can adjust it. I can move it up and down, but I can't adjust it in my other pages. I have to go back to the A master to adjust it, but I can use it. So this one actually, I'm going to use a much bigger font. And just centerpiece it, and for now that's it. And in that way you can add horizontal lines to your grid and use them on all these pages as well. So that's one thing about the rulers on the top and on the side. You can also use them from this side, of course, to drag them in. And now I'm dragging them in on page 2, so maybe I want something aligned on page 2 here. But now they won't appear, of course, on the other pages, only on page 2. Last thing to show you is the baseline grid. And let's say that here these text and images are at the correct place. And I see here now that my folio is almost running into the main text. So I'm going into my A master and adjust it a bit so it has more space. There. The baseline of the text is where the letter is sitting on. And because you're going to use multiple text areas and they're not going to be starting at the same height always, you want the text to sit on that baseline throughout the whole document to be the same. In this case, it's not aligned to the baseline grid. The text is loose, and you can see it actually because the text on the left side here is a different baseline than on the right side, right? It starts at a different height. So it's not aligned, and for a reader it's very convenient if the text throughout a page is all at these same lines. And you can do that by selecting your text. You go into your paragraph window, so type paragraph, so it opens up this one. And at the bottom here you have these two icons. This one is do not align to the baseline grid. And here it is, align to baseline grid. So if I click this one, this is what happens. Why is this happening? Anyone, an idea? Maybe if I zoom in and I right click, and let's see where is it, because you can just show it as well. I want to see the baseline grid. There. A few grids and guides show baseline grid. So here's your baseline grid. You see that all the letters are sitting in it, on it, but there's one empty in between. So that means that the baseline grid is not big enough to fit the letters all in one line. So I have to increase the baseline grid or make my font smaller. So I'm going to make my baseline grid a bit bigger, increase it. And you set that throughout your whole document. So here's where you set it. In InDesign, Preferences, Grids, and here it says Document Grid. Here you said baseline grid, and it starts at 12.7, increments every 12 points. I'm going to make it 18 points. Hit OK. And now you see that my text is actually on every baseline grid. But you see, there it's not, this one is not. So this text box as well, I select my text, I've closed my window, type paragraph, oh sorry, not paragraph styles, just a paragraph. And I put on this one align to baseline grid. So there you have it. So this also means that if I move my text box up, if I move this text box up, at one point it will jump to the other line, you see? And throughout the page, it is now aligned on those, on that baseline grid. Now, and if you look at the total page in that way, it becomes much more readable and better looking when these things are aligned as well. So that is baseline grid. Use it on every page. Use it on every text. It really makes your page looks much more professional. Okay, I think that's it for now. Are there questions that I can answer for you in InDesign now? No?
How do you add a picture to the page?
There are many ways to add pictures. You can just drag and drop them, but the official way to know for sure things are going in your way, you have to place images in there. And that means that images are not placed inside your document, they're only linked there. So if you say File, Place, and I'm looking up a photo here, I now can place it here, for example. It's too big, so make it smaller and adjust it to the size that you need. But remember, this is a link to the original picture on your hard drive somewhere and not inside the document. So if I change my picture there, it will automatically update here. Okay?
So what if I delete the picture?
Then you don't have it anymore. So that's why it's very important to make, like, if you're selecting pictures for your magazine, you need to store them in a safe place, make a hierarchy in directories, like, okay, these are images that we're going to use. Yes?